Siege of the Bastille from the French Revolution by Thomas Carlyle. But to the living and the struggling a new 14th morning dawns. Under all roofs of this distracted city is the nodus of a drama, not untragical, crowding toward solution. The bustlings and preparings, the tremors and menaces, the tears that fall from old eyes. This day, my sons, ye shall quit you like men, by the memory of your fathers' wrongs, by the hope of your children's rights. Tyranny impedes in that wrath, help for you is none, if not in your own right hands. This day ye must do or die. From earliest light, a sleepless permanent committee has heard the old cry, now waxing almost frantic, mutinous. Arms! Arms! Provost Flessils, or what traitors there are among you may think of those Charleville boxes. 150,000 of us, and but the third man furnished with so much as a pike. Arms are the one thing needful. With arms we are an unconquerable man-defying National Guard. Without arms, a rabble to be whiffed with grape shot. Happily the word has arisen, for no secret can be kept, that there lie muskets at the Hôtel des Invalides. Thither will we, King's Procureur de Monsieur Effie de Corny, and whatsoever of authority a permanent committee can lend, shall go with us. Besenval's camp is there, perhaps he will not fire on us. If he kill us, we shall but die. Alas, poor Besenval, with his troops melting away in that manner, has not the smallest humour to fire. At 5 o'clock this morning, as he lay dreaming, oblivious in the École Militaire, a figure stood suddenly at his bedside, with face rather handsome, eyes inflamed, speech rapid and curt, air audacious. Such a figure drew Priam's curtains. The message and monition of the figure was that resistance would be hopeless, that if blood flowed, woe to him who shed it. Thus spoke the figure, and vanished. Withal there was a kind of eloquence that struck one. Besenval admits that he should have arrested him, but did not. Who this figure with inflamed eyes, with speech rapid and curt might be, Besenval knows, but mentions not. Camille Desmoulins, Pythagorean Marquis Valadi, inflamed with violent motions all night at the Palais Royal? Fame names him young Monsieur Maillard, then shuts her lips about him forever. In any case, behold, about 9 in the morning, our national volunteers, rolling in long white floods southwestward to the Hôtel des Invalides, in search of the one thing needful. King's Procureur, Monsieur Ethys de Corny, and officials are there. The Curé of Saint-Étienne du Mont marches unpacific at the head of his militant parish. The clerks of the Basoche in red coats we see marching. Now volunteers of the Palais Royal, national volunteers numerable by tens of thousands, of one heart and mind. The king's muskets are the nation's. Think, old Monsieur de Sombreuil, how in this extremity thou wilt refuse them. Old Monsieur de Sombreuil would fain hold parley, send couriers, but it skills not. The walls are scaled, no invalid firing a shot. The gates must be flung open. Patriotism rushes in tumultuous, from ground up to ridge tile, through all rooms and passages, rummaging distractedly for arms. What cellar or what cranny can escape it? The arms are found, all safe there, lying packed in straw, apparently with a view to being burnt, more ravenous than famishing lions over dead prey. The multitude with clangor and vociferation pounces on them, struggling, dashing, clutching, to the jamming up, to the pressure, fracture, probable extinction of the weaker patriot. And so with such protracted crash of deafening, most discordant orchestra music, the scene is changed, and 28,000 sufficient firelocks are on the shoulders of as many National Guards lifted thereby out of darkness into fiery light. Let Besenval look at the glitter of these muskets as they flash by. Gardes Françaises, it is said, have cannon levelled on him, ready to open, if need were, from the other side of the river. Motionless sits he, astonished, one may flatter oneself at the proud bearing, fière contenance of the Parisians. And now to the Bastille, ye intrepid Parisians. There grape shot still threatens. Thither all men's thoughts and steps are now tending. Old Delaunay, as we hinted, withdrew into his interior soon after midnight of Sunday. He remains there ever since, hampered, as all military gentlemen now are, in the saddest conflict of uncertainties. The Hôtel de Ville invites him to admit national soldiers, which is a soft name for surrendering. On the other hand, His Majesty's orders were precise. His garrison is but 82 old invalid, reinforced by 32 young Swiss. His walls indeed are 9 feet thick. He has cannon and powder, but alas, only 1 day's provision of victuals. The city too is French, the poor garrison mostly French. Rigorous old Delaunay, think what thou wilt do. All morning since 9, there has been a cry everywhere. To the Bastille, repeated deputation of citizens have been here, passionate for arms, whom Delaunay has got dismissed by soft speeches through portholes. 'Twas noon, Elector Thoriot de la Rosière gains admittance, finds Delaunay indisposed for surrender, nay, disposed for blowing up the place, rather. Thoriot mounts with him to the battlements. Heaps of paving stones, old iron, and missiles lie piled. Cannon all duly levelled. In every embrasure a cannon, only drawn back a little. But outwards, behold, O Thoriot, how the multitude flows on, welling through every street, tocsin furiously pealing, all drums beating the Général, the superb Saint Antoine rolling hitherward, wholly as one man. Such vision, spectral yet real, thou, O Thoriot, as from thy mount of vision, beholdest in this moment, prophetic of what other phantasmagories and loud gibbering spectral realities, which thou yet beholdest not, but shalt. Que voulez-vous? Said Delaunay, turning pale at the sight, with an air of reproach, almost of menace. Monsieur, said Thoriot, rising into the moral sublime, what mean you? Consider if I could not precipitate both of us from this height, say only 100 feet exclusively of the wall ditch. Whereupon Delaunay fell silent. Thoriot shows himself from some pinnacle to comfort the multitude becoming suspicious. Fremson then descends, departs with protest, with warning addressed also to the invalids, on whom however it produces but a mixed, indistinct impression. The old heads are none of the clearest. Besides, it is said, Delaunay has been profuse of beverages. Prodigue de Bisson. They think they will not fire, if not fire done, if they can help it, but must on the whole be ruled considerably by circumstances. Woe to thee, Delaunay, in such an hour, if thou canst not taking some one firm decision. Rule circumstances. Soft speeches will not serve. Hard grape shot is questionable, but hovering between the two is unquestionable. Ever wider swells the tide of men, their infinite hum waxing even louder, into imprecations, perhaps into crackle of a stray musketry, which latter, on walls 9 feet thick, cannot do execution. The outer drawbridge has been lowered for Thoriot. Now deputation of citizens, it is the third and noisiest of all, penetrates that way into the outer court. Soft speeches producing no clearance of these. Delaunay gives fire, pulls up his drawbridge. A slight sputter, which has kindled the too combustible chaos, made it a roaring fire chaos. Bursts forth insurrection at sight of its own blood. For there were deaths by that sputter of fire, into endless rolling explosion of musketry, distraction, execration, and overhead from the fortress let one great gun with its grape shot go booming to show what we could do. The Bastille is besieged. On then, all Frenchmen that have hearts in your bodies! Roar with all your throats of cartilage and metal, ye sons of liberty! Stir spasmodically whatsoever of utmost faculty is in you, soul, body, or spirit, for it is the hour! Spite thou, Louis Tournay, Cartwright of the Marais, old soldier of the Regiment Dauphiné, spite at that utter drawbridge chain, though the fiery hail whistles round thee. Never, over knave or fellows, did thy axe strike such a stroke. Down with it, man, down with it to Orcus! Let the whole accursed edifice sink thither, and tyranny be swallowed up for ever. Mounted, some say, on the roof of the guard-room, some on bayonets stuck into joints of the wall. Louis Tournay smites brave Aubin Bonnemere, also an old soldier, seconding him. The chain yields, breaks. The huge drawbridge slams down, thundering avec fracas. Glorious, and yet, alas, it is still but the outworks. The 8 grim towers, with their invalid musketry, their paving stones and cannon mouths still soar aloft intact. Ditch yawning impassable, stone-faced the inner drawbridge with its back toward us. The Bastille is still to take. To describe this siege of the Bastille, though to be one of the most important in history, perhaps transcends the talent of mortals. Could one but, after infinite reading, get to understand so much as the plan of the building? But there is open esplanade at the end of Rue Saint Antoine. There are such 4 courts, Cour Avancée, Cour de l'Or, arched gateway where Louis Tournay now fights, then new drawbridges, dormant bridges, rampart bastions, and the grim 8 towers, a labyrinthic mass, high frowning there, of all ages from 20 years to 420. Beleaguered in this its last hour, as we said, by mere chaos come again. Ordnance of all calibers, thought of all capacities, men of all plans, every man his own engineer. Seldom since the war of pygmies and cranes was there seen so anomalous a thing. Half-pay Elie is home for a suit of regimentals. No one would heed him in colored cloths. Half-pay Hulin is haranguing Garde Française in the Place de Grève. Frantic patriots pick up the grape shots, bear them, still hot or seemingly so, to the Hôtel de Ville. Paris, you perceive, is to be burnt. Flesselles is pale to the very lips, for the roar of the multitude grows deep. Paris wholly has got to the acme of its frenzy. Whirled all ways by panic madness, at every street barricade there was simmering a minor whirlpool, strengthening the barricade, since God knows what is coming. And all minor whirlpools play distractedly into that grand fire maelstrom which is lashing round the Bastille. And so it lashes and it roars. Cholat the wine merchant has become an impromptu cannoneer. See Georgette of the Marine Service, fresh from Brest, ply the King of Siam's cannon. Singular if we were not used to the like. Georgette lay last night taking his ease at his inn. The King of Siam's cannon also lay, knowing nothing of him, for 100 years, yet now at the right instant they have got together and discourse eloquent music. For hearing what was toward, Georgette sprang from the Brest diligence and ran. Garde Française also will be here, with real artillery, were not the walls so thick. Upward from the esplanade, horizontally from all neighboring roofs and windows, flashes one irregular deluge of musketry, without effect. The invalids lie flat, firing comparatively at their ease from behind a stone. Hardly through port-holes show the tip of the nose. We fall, shot, and make no impression. Let conflagration rage, of whatsoever is combustible. Guard-rooms are burnt, invalids' mess-rooms. A distracted peruke-maker with 2 fiery torches is for burning the saltpetre of the arsenal. Had not a woman run screaming, had not a patriot with some tincture of natural philosophy instantly struck the wind out of him, butt of muskets and bit of stomach, overturned barrels, and stayed the devouring element. A young, beautiful lady sees escaping in these outer courts, and though falsely to be Delaunay's daughter, shall be burnt in Delaunay's sight. She lies, soothed, on a paillasse. But again a patriot, it is brave Aubin Bonnemere, the old soldier, dashes in and rescues her. A straw is burnt, 3 cart-loads of it, hauled hither, go up in white smoke, almost to the choking of patriotism itself, so that Elie had, with singed brows, to drag back one cart, and reol the gigantic haberdasher another. Smoke as of Tophet, confusion as of Babel, noise as of the crack of doom. Blood flows, the ailment of new madness. The wounded are carried into houses of the Rue Cerises. The dying leave their last mandate not to yield till the accursed stronghold fall. And yet, alas, how fall? The walls are so thick. Deputations 3 in number arrive from the Hotel de Ville. Abbé Fauchet, who was of one, can say with what almost superhuman courage of benevolence. These wave their town flag in the arched gateway, and stand rolling their drum, but to no purpose. In such crack of doom Delaunay cannot hear them, dare not believe them. They return, with justified rage, the woo of lead still singeing in their ears. What to do? The firemen are here, squirting with their fire pumps on the Invalides' cannon to wet the touch-holes. They unfortunately cannot squirt so high, but produce only clouds of spray. Individuals of classical knowledge propose catapults. Santerre, the sonorous brewer of the suburb Saint Antoine, advises rather that the place be fired by the mixture of phosphorus and oil of turpentine spouted up through forcing pumps. O Spinola Santerre, hast thou the mixture ready? Every man his own engineer, and still the fire deluge abates not. Even women are firing, and Turks, at least one woman with her sweetheart, and one Turk. Gardes Françaises have come, real cannon, real cannoneers. Usher Meyer is busy. Half-pay Elie, half-pay Hulin rage in the midst of thousands. How the great Bastille clock ticks, inaudible, in its inner court, there at its ease, hour after hour, as if nothing special for it or the world were passing. It told 1 when the firing began, and is now pointing toward 5, and still the firing slakes not. Far down in their vaults the 7 prisoners hear muffled din as of earthquakes. Their turnkeys answer vaguely. Woe to thee, Delaunay, with thy poor 100 invalids! Broglie is distant and his ears heavy. Besenval hears but can send no help. One poor troop of hussars has crept, reconnoitring cautiously along the quay as far as the Pont Neuf. We are come to join you, said the captain. A large-headed, dwarfish individual of a smoke-bleared aspect shambles forward, opening his blue lips, for there is sense in him, and croaks, alight then, and give up your arms. The hussar captain is too happy to be escorted to the barriers and dismissed on parole. Who the squad individual was? Men answer, it is Monsieur Marat, author of the excellent pacific Avis au Peuple. Great, truly, O thou remarkable duck-leech! Is this thy day of emergence and new birth? And yet this same day come 4 years. But let the curtains of the future hang. What shall Delaunay do? One thing only Delaunay could have done. What he said he would do. Fancy him sitting, from the first, with lighted taper, within arm's length of the powder magazine, motionless like old Roman senator or bronze lamp holder coldly apprising Thoriot, and all men by a slight motion of his eyes what his resolution was. Harmless he sat there, while unharmed, but the king's fortress meanwhile could, might, would, or should in no wise be surrendered save to the king's messenger. One old man's life is worthless, so it be lost with honor. But think, ye brawling canaille, how will it be when a whole Bastille springs skyward? In such statuesque taper-holding attitude, one fancies Delaunay might have left Thoriot, the Red Clerk of the Basoche, Curé of Saint Stephen, and all the Tagrag and Bobtail of the world to work their will. And yet withal he could not do it. Hast thou considered how each man's heart is so tremulously responsive to the hearts of all men? Hast thou noted how omnipotent is the very sound of many men? How their shriek of indignation palsies the strong soul, their howl of contumely withers with unfelt pangs. The reader Gluck confessed that the ground tone of the noblest passage is one of his noblest operas, was the voice of the populace he had heard at Vienna, crying to their Kaiser, Bread, bread. Great is the combined voice of men, the utterance of their instincts, which are truer than their thoughts. It is the greatest a man encounters among the sounds and shadows which make up this world of time. He who can resist that has his footing somewhere beyond time. Delaunay could not do it. Distracted he hovers between two. Hopes in the middle of despair, surrenders not his fortress, declares that he will blow it up, sees torches to blow it up, and does not blow it. Unhappy old Delaunay, it is the death agony of thy Bastille and thee. Jail, jailoring, and jailer, all three, such as they may have been, must finish. For 4 hours now has the world bedlam roared. Call it the world chimera, blowing fire. The poor invalids have sunk under their battlements, or rise only with reversed muskets. They have made the white flag of napkins, go boating the chamade, or seeming to beat, for one can hear nothing. The very Swiss at the portcullis look weary of firing. Disheartened in the fire deluge, a porthole at the drawbridge is opened, as by one that would speak. See Huissier Mallard, the shifty man, on his plank swinging over the abyss of that stone ditch. Plank resting on parapet, balanced by weight of patriots, he hovers perilous, such a dove towards such an ark. Deftly, thou shifty usher, one man already fell, and lies smashed far down there against the masonry. Usher Maillard falls not, deftly unerring he walks, with outspread palm. The Swiss holds a paper through his porthole. The shifty usher snatches it, and returns. Terms of surrender, pardon, immunity to all. Are they accepted? Foi d'officier, on the word of an officer. Answers half-pay Hulin or half-pay Elie, for men do not agree on it. They are, sinks the drawbridges. Usher Maillard, bolting it when dawn, rushes in the living deluge. The Bastille is fallen. Victoire, la Bastille est prise. Why dwell on what follows? Allin's foi d'officier should have been kept, but could not. The Swiss stand drawn up, disguised in white canvas marks, the invalids without disguise, their arms all piled against the wall. The first rush of victors in ecstasy that the death peril is past, leaps joyfully on their necks, but new victors rush, and ever new also in ecstasy not wholly of joy. As we said, it was a living deluge, plunging headlong. Had not the Garde Française, in their cool military way, wheeled round with arms levelled, it would have plunged suicidally by the 100 or the 1,000 into the Bastille ditch. And so it goes plunging through court and corridor, billowing uncontrollable, firing from windows on itself, in hot frenzy of triumph, of grief and vengeance for its slain. The poor invalids will fare ill. One Swiss, running off in his white smock, is driven back with a death thrust. Let all prisoners be marched to the town hall to be judged. Alas, already one poor invalid has his right hand snatched off him, his maimed body dragged to the Place de Grève, and hanged there. This same right hand, it is said, turned back Delaunay from the powder magazine and saved Paris. Delaunay, discovered in grey frock with poppy-coloured riband, is for killing himself with the sword of his cane. He shall to the Hôtel de Ville, Olin, Maillard, and others escorting him, Elie marching foremost, with the capitulation paper on his sword's point. Through roarings and cursings, through hustlings, clutchings, and at last through strokes, your escort is hustled aside. Fall down, Hollin sinks exhausted on a heap of stones. Miserable Delaunay, he shall never enter the Hôtel de Ville, only his bloody écu held up in a bloody hand, that shall enter for a sign. The bleeding trunk lies on the steps there, the head is off through the streets, ghastly aloft on a pike. Rigorous Delaunay has died, crying out, "Oh, friends, kill me fast." Merciful Dolosme must die, though gratitude embraces him in this fearful hour, and will die for him, it avails not. Brothers, your wrath is cruel. Your place de grève is become a throat of the tiger, full of mere fierce bellowings and thirst of blood. One other officer is massacred, one other invalid is hanged on the lamp iron, with difficulty, with generous perseverance. The Garde Française will save the rest. Provost Flessel, stricken long since with the paleness of death, must descend from his seat, to be judged at the Palais Royal. Alas, to be shot dead by an unknown hand at the turning of the first street. O evening sun of July, how at this hour thy beams fall slant on reapers amid peaceful woody fields, on old women spinning in cottages, on ships far out on the silent main, on balls at the Orangerie of Versailles, where high rouged dames of the palace are even now dancing with double-jacket hussar officers, and also on this roaring hell-porch of a Hôtel de Ville. Babel Tower, with the confusion of tongues, were not Bedlam added with the conflagration of thoughts, was no type of it. One forest of distracted steel bristles, endless in front of an electoral committee, points itself in hurried ready against this and the other accused breast. It was the Titans warring with Olympus, and they, scarcely crediting it, have conquered, prodigy of prodigies, delirious as it could not but be. Denunciation, vengeance, blaze of triumph on a dark ground of terror, all outward, all inward things fallen into one general wreck of madness. End of section 23. Recording by Farnooq Jahangiri.